What's up, heroes? Did you guys, when you were like that awkward part of your life where you were graduate high school or college or whatever, wherever it was for you, where you're kind of like independent, but not, or kind of like an adult, but not really because you independent because you still lived with your parents, that like awkward transition. And here's the question is, did you ever hide anything from them because you're like, I'm an adult now, I can do my own thing, but you're like, but my mom or my dad will still whoop me if I get caught with this, or you were just worried about it because you're still living with them? Let me know.
Hey, we putting on a show, trying to catch a vibe. We do this every time, like na 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 na. Feeling like I'm on the highway, cause everything been going my way. And now they looking at me sideways. I'm like na 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 na. This is where I wanna be, na na na. Never ever gonna leave.
Okay, hopefully you thought of something. I'm going to tell you mine in a minute. So, actually just a few seconds. A couple days ago, I talked to you about how I did the whole $36 for the roll of stamps. And that was all from this like marketing group I was in. And I kind of vaguely mentioned it, but not too much. Okay, so fast forward a year and a half before that, I'm not married. I've graduated high school. Summer's over. School started. So I'm going to college in town, technically the next town over. So I'm still living with my parents. I've started college and I have a part-time job. And I find, and I'm also trying to start up my video production business, which I'll tell you how that started in another video. So I'm trying to start my video production business. I find, I don't remember for sure because this is a long time ago, but I think what happened was I was trying to send an invoice to someone. I think I was doing some sort of video job and they're like, oh yeah, invoice me. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And I'm like, how do I invoice someone? And I'm like trying to figure it out. And I was like looking at like templates and this, and then you bring this, in Photoshop, or, oh no, do it in Excel. And this, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to invoice this person, but I got to get paid. And finally I found this like super easy, like this landing page for like, this super easy invoice, da 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 da. And it was like, I'd found some that were like that, but they were like expensive. And this one was like, it's free with this membership. And I was like, and I think the membership had like a 7-day trial. And then it was that $14 a month membership I was telling you about. It might have been like 27 bucks a month. Now I'm thinking about it. So it's okay, I'm just going to sign up for this. And then get this thing. And then I'll like use the 7-day trial, look at some of the marketing stuff, which again, at the time, I didn't really believe in most of that kind of stuff because of just like the way I was raised was like, you got to work for your money. You got to build up. Like marketing was kind of fell into the category of something for nothing. Right. So I signed up for it and I started looking through this stuff. I'm like, dang, this stuff is good. Like I downloaded, I still have it. It's, it was Yannick Silver, but the actual thing, it was, he did all like, they do these masterminds with him and he'd do guest stuff, but it was Yankee Silva, I think was the guy. I have it. It was like some video. I remember the guy and I literally have it printed. I just pulled it out the other day. It was called like how to market your video production business or something like that. And this stuff was good. I'm reading it and they're talking about how to calculate your hourly rate and how to do this and how to do that. And I'm like, this is some good stuff. And then, and he was like a video marketing guy and not like marketing with video, but like marketing your video. So it was all direct response, how to market your video production business, which eventually led to that, buying all those stamps and that direct response thing, which ended up making me like $3,000, over the course of a couple of years. So he would also do like team up stuff with Yannick Silver, I believe the guy's name, with like these different masterminds. And they talk about like, yeah, we paid like, like everyone paid like $10,000 to be in the room for this one weekend event. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are crazy. They must be making a ton of money and going through all this stuff. And I was working part-time at a little bookstore, a little privately owned bookstore. And I remember that I would like listen because I couldn't listen at work. You guys have it so easy now. If you're working, like if you're watching this, your kids have it so easy now. Like, not to sound like an old dude saying back in my day, but like I go in places and they just have they're just listening. You can hear they're listening to like super inappropriate music and it's like F this, F that. We couldn't even listen to like appropriate stuff. I couldn't even listen to like self-help tapes or business advice stuff. So I remember I would listen to them on my way to work, and then I'd get there, and while I was opening and closing, I'd think about it and I'd be processing it. And on my lunch break, I'd go and I'd listen. And I was getting these audios from this newsletter. I'd read the newsletter and I'd listen to these audio tapes. And I remember like learning all this stuff and my mind being blown about like, so you tell me like I don't just have to wait for someone to like refer me something. I don't have to spend the next 10 years slowly grinding this out. Like I can do this thing called marketing, and I basically tell people that, and like and again, it was setting off these alarms like, oh, this is a get rich quick scheme, something for nothing. And so I remember like hiding the fact that I was in this membership from my dad, because again, I'm in that awkward phase where I'm still living at his house. I'm still living there. I'm under his rules and his roof, but I'm at the same time, I'm going to college. I've got a job and I'm trying to figure things out on my own. And I remember thinking like, okay, there's no way. Cause I think at this point, he's still paying my gas. He's still like, I have no rent. I'm eating their food. And I'm like, okay, there's been conversations about when am I going to start paying my own, like take over, car payment and paying for my own gas and all this kind of stuff. I think maybe I was paying my own car payment. I don't know. I remember thinking like, if my dad finds out that I'm spending $14 a month, it might've been 20, but I'm going to go with 14 because that's what I've been saying. If my dad finds out that I've been spending $14 a month on this membership thing, he's going to stop paying my gas and he's going to make me probably start charging me rent. He's going to be furious. So I remember like not wanting my dad to find out and hiding this fact, but then like trying to talk to my parents about like my ideas and what I'm doing. It's like, how do I talk to them about these marketing ideas without getting into like, where'd you come up with this? Or where'd you hear this? And I remember being this like struggle where I was like, just trying to figure all this stuff out. And so I'd be sitting there, like, again, closing the shop. I'd be vacuuming the bookstore and being like, okay, so this is how you calculate your hourly rate. And this is how you do this. And just being like, okay, so what am I going to do here? And again, going through this eventually is, and again, I didn't take action on any of this stuff at first because it was crazy. Again, I was charging $700 for a wedding. They're telling you, if you're charging, which ended up like would come out to be at the time, I think minimum wage was like $6.75. I think I figured out that my weddings, I was getting paid somewhere in like the $11, $12 an hour range. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's insane. If I could just get enough of these weddings to do this all the time, that's like so much more money than I'm making at this stupid little part-time job and all my friends are making. And they're like, yeah, they're figuring out, I was like, oh, if you're just charging $50 an hour, you're not charging enough. I'm like, $50 an hour? I was like, I'll go to jail for robbery if I charge $50 an hour. And he talked about how to calculate it and how you should be minimum. Like maybe if you're just getting started, maybe $55 an hour, but like how you should be charging anywhere between $100 and $200 an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And so I wasn't really acting on any of this stuff because I was scared to death of all of it. But I remember just for like a year, I paid every month. Again, I just needed it for this, it all started because I just needed this invoice software, but I kept paying every month. I said, next month I'll cancel my membership. Next month I'll cancel my membership. But I kept reading the newsletters. I kept downloading the audios. I kept like listening to the special, like, oh, again, like those things like, oh, with Yannick Silver, we're doing this whole here, listen in on one of the days when they talked about this and your value and da-da-da. And I just kept like consuming and absorbing this stuff in and learning and learning and learning. And finally, after like a year of this, I finally got enough courage to go ahead and pull the trigger and do the whole, as a newlywed and go spend like most of like what we could have bought, like 3 weeks of groceries, on my first direct response. And you guys heard in that last video, how that worked out. That worked out pretty good, over the long run. So that's why I have created Business Heroes, is I want to be that for you. I want to be able to encourage you to put out these different marketing ideas and stuff. Maybe you don't use them all. So if you heard me talk about the business growth secrets and you could be thinking like a business growth tactic every single week, I couldn't implement all that. That's too much, or I'm just getting started. I'm not ready for that, or whatever it is. You don't have to necessarily do everything. There is a certain power in the fact of being involved in something. And just like that story I told about how the fact that I was paying for it caused me to listen to it, which caused me to like rewrite the internal scripts I had of, oh, this is a scam. I can't do this. I would be overcharging people. And it helped me like grow. And so that's why I created First Business Heroes and Business Growth Secrets, is because you may be in that same situation I was, where you need that, where you have your business and you're like, I don't really know what to do. I can't just bug people all the time. Like, I'm posting stuff on Facebook and like putting stuff out there, and that doesn't really seem to be helping too much. What do? If that is you, I want to encourage you to take a look at my Business Growth Secrets group. It's only $10 a month. So it's even cheaper than, even with inflation, it's still cheaper. And like I said, every week I put something out there. If you, I talk about a year before I took action. If you do the same thing, and remember how I said, I was like a year before I took action, I was rewriting those scripts, and then finally I took action, and that ended up leading to like $3,000 plus a really nice job doing video production for the county, which set me up as far as learning so much more video stuff and being able to go on with what I'm currently doing. Really set me on that path. If you do the same thing, if you sign up, if you just listen to the podcast, watch the videos, read the guide for a year, pay $10 a month, and you never use it for a year, and then finally one of those things, boom, one of those tactics hits, that could be well worth it. A year, that's $120. Remember that one thing I did, and I didn't do it very well. I talked about how I executed it poorly. I made $3,000 over the course of a couple of years. And then again, got that awesome job because of what I was doing in my business. What could that be like for you? What could that be like, even if you took a year to take action on it? How much of a return on investment could that be if you have one success story like that? Check it out. I'm not asking you to sign up. I'm just saying, click the link in the description, go check it out, see if it's right for you. Again, it's $10 a month. Give it a try for 1 month. If it's not really your thing, just cancel. No big deal. All right, guys. See ya tomorrow.